Harper stepped through the airlock of the Zenith Star and immediately stumbled. Her boot caught on the smooth floor and she lurched forward, arms windmilling. A tall officer caught her elbow with one of his forearms. "Careful, human," Commander said. His compound eyes reflected her embarrassed face 100 times over. "The gravity here is 0.8 Earth standard. You will adjust." "Thank you, Commander." Cheeks burned hot. "I'm so sorry, first impression, and I'm already falling all over myself." The welcoming committee stood in a neat line behind. 12 different species, all watching her with various types of eyes. Straightened her uniform and tried to look professional. She was supposed to be the human liaison officer, representing Earth's best, and, instead, she'd nearly face-planted within 10 seconds of boarding. "Let us proceed to the ceremony hall," said. He moved with perfect grace, his legs clicking softly against the deck. The other crew members flowed after him like water. Followed or tried to, every step felt wrong, too light, too floaty. She'd trained for 6 months in lower gravity simulations, but nothing prepared her for the real thing. Her feet didn't land where she expected them to. Her balance was all wrong. She felt like a toddler learning to walk. The ceremony hall gleamed with polished metal. Loved symmetry and order. Everything had its place. Could see why they'd chosen to command this research mission. They were known throughout the galaxy as the most precise, most careful species. They never made mistakes. Unlike humans, "The welcoming nectar," announced. A crew member brought forward a crystal container filled with amber liquid. "A tradition. We share this to symbolize cooperation and unity." Poured the nectar into small cups arranged on a table. Watched him work. His movements were exact, not a drop spilled. Each cup received exactly the same amount. "Human, as our crew member, you will distribute the cups," gestured to the table. Stomach dropped. The cups were tiny, delicate, arranged in a perfect grid. She reached for the first one and her hand shook slightly. "Come on," she thought, "you can pick up a cup. This is basic stuff." She lifted the cup, too fast. The light gravity made her overcompensate. The cup flew up and nectar splashed over the rim. Grabbed for it with her other hand and the cup tumbled through the air. It landed on the navigation console. Nectar spread across the screen in a sticky puddle. The room went silent. "I'm so sorry," rushed forward to clean it up. Her foot caught on a deck plate and she stumbled again. More nectar spilled. "I'm just so clumsy, I don't know what's wrong with me." "The console," someone shouted. Warning lights flashed across the screen. Backed away, horrified. The nectar was seeping into the control panel. A technician rushed forward with cleaning equipment. "I didn't mean to," said. Her voice came out small. "I'm so sorry, Commander. I'm the worst human representative they could have sent. I'm hopelessly clumsy." Santeni twitched. "Accidents happen, human, but perhaps you should step back. We will handle this." Moved to the wall and stayed there. The crew cleaned up her mess. No one looked at her. She wanted to disappear. From the corner of her eye, she noticed something small watching from the doorway. A cub barely knee-high with golden fur and huge green eyes. The cub tilted its head, studying her with obvious curiosity. The ceremony continued without her. The crew drank their nectar. They made speeches about cooperation and scientific discovery, stood against the wall, trying not to touch anything. After what felt like hours, dismissed everyone. The crew filed out in orderly lines, waited until they were gone, then made her way to her quarters. Slowly, carefully, she still bumped into a doorframe on the way. Her quarters were small but comfortable. The first thing she did was adjust the gravity settings to full Earth standard. The moment the field shifted, her body relaxed. Her feet landed properly. Her balance returned. She could move without thinking about every step. She sat on her bunk and put her head in her hands. What was she doing here? She was not an acrobat. She'd studied alien life forms for 10 years. She could identify 3,000 different species by sight. She could speak 8 alien languages, but none of that mattered if she couldn't walk across a room without breaking something. A soft knock at her door made her look up. "Yes." The door slid open. The cub stood in the corridor, looking up at her with those big eyes. "Hello," the cub said in surprisingly good English. "I am Pip, you are human." "Just as fine," she managed a smile. "Hi, Pip, aren't you supposed to be with your parents?" "My mother is chief engineer, she is working, I wanted to ask you something." Pip stepped into the room. The cub's ears perked forward. "Why did you call yourself Clumsy?" Blinked, "Because I am. You saw what happened, I spilled the nectar everywhere." But you do not seem clumsy now. Pip watched her move around the room. You walk normal in here. That's because I adjusted the gravity to Earth standard. Pulled up the control panel to show Pip. See, 1.0 G, that's what I'm used to. Pip studied the display with intense focus. The ship is 0.8 G, that is the standard setting. I know, I just need to get used to it, sighed. Everyone else manages fine, I should be able to too. But Earth is heavier than most worlds, Pip said. I learned this in school. Earth is a very dangerous, heavy gravity, extreme weather, lots of predators. Smiled despite herself. It's not that bad. You evolved there, your body is made for that gravity. Pip's tail swished back and forth. When you are in lighter gravity, your body does not work right, like me trying to swim in water too shallow. Not my fault. The water is wrong. That's a nice thought, but I'm the one who has to adapt, not the ship, gestured around. There are 12 species on this crew. They can't adjust everything for one human. Pip didn't answer right away. The cub just stood there thinking. Finally, Pip said, Can you tell me about Earth, about humans? Relaxed a little. This was familiar ground. What do you want to know? Everything. They talked for an hour, told Pip about Earth's oceans and mountains, about human history and culture, about how humans had nearly destroyed themselves before reaching the stars. Pip listened to every word, asking questions that were surprisingly smart for someone so young. Thank you for talking to me, Pip said finally. The other adults do not explain things, they just tell me to go play. You can come talk to me anytime, said. I like having someone to talk to who doesn't think I'm a disaster. Pip's ears flattened. You are not a disaster, you are just in the wrong gravity. After Pip left, sat in her quarters for a long time. She had reports to file and research to review, but mostly she felt tired and discouraged. The next few days proved even harder, tried her best to adapt. She moved slowly and carefully through the ship, but slow and careful wasn't enough. She bumped into equipment. She knocked over a tray in the mess hall. She tripped during a tour of the laboratory, nearly breaking an expensive sensor array. The crew was polite, too polite. They smiled and said it was fine, but could see them routing around her, giving her space, treating her like something fragile that might break at any moment. Only Pip sought her out. The cub found her every day full of questions. What did humans eat? How did they communicate? Why did they wear clothes? Answered everything, grateful for the company. You are very smart, Pip told her one afternoon. You know so much about xenobiology. Knowledge isn't very useful if I can't walk across a room. Tried to keep the bitterness from her voice. Maybe you just need the right room, Pip said. Didn't understand what that meant, but she was too tired to ask. 2 weeks into the mission, disaster struck, was observing an experiment in the quantum lab. The scientists were studying energy fluctuations near the nebula. The work required absolute precision, stood in the corner trying not to get in the way. A warning alarm sounded. The containment field flickered. Adjust the field compensators, one of the scientists shouted. Moved to help. She forgot where she was, forgot about the gravity. Her foot caught on a cable and she fell forward into a control panel. Her hand hit an emergency switch. The containment field dropped. Energy burst from the experimental chamber. Alarms shrieked. Scientists scattered, scrambled backward as lights flashed and systems screamed warnings. The safety systems kicked in. Emergency containment activated. The energy burst dissipated harmlessly. But the damage was done. Arrived within minutes, he surveyed the scene with his compound eyes, stood in the corner shaking. Is anyone hurt? Asked. No injuries, Commander, a scientist reported. The safety systems prevented any harm. Good, turned to, Human, may I speak with you privately? They went to his office, had never felt smaller. I am not angry, said, his voice was gentle. You did not intend to cause problems, but I must think of the crew's safety. I understand, his throat felt tight. I should have been more careful. Perhaps it would be better if you remained in your quarters during sensitive operations. You can still contribute through data analysis and remote work. Your knowledge is valuable. We simply need to minimize physical risks. Nodded, she couldn't speak. If she tried, she might cry. You are not a failure, added. You are simply in an environment that does not suit your physiology. This is no one's fault. But it felt like her fault, returned to her quarters and closed the door. She sat on her bunk and stared at the walls. She'd come here to represent humanity, to show the galaxy what humans could offer. Instead, she was hiding in her room like a child sent to timeout. A knock at the door, she knew who it would be. "Come in, Pip." The cub entered and climbed onto the bunk beside her. "I heard what happened." "I'm sure everyone heard," wiped her eyes. "I messed up again." Pip was quiet for a moment. Then the cub said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you think you are clumsy on Earth?" "Thought about it? No, on Earth I play sports, I hike, I dance. I never had problems moving around." "Then you are not clumsy," Pip said firmly. "The ship is wrong for you." "The ship is standard, Pip. I'm the one who's different." Pip's tail lashed. Maybe the standard is wrong. Didn't have an answer for that. She just sat with Pip in comfortable silence. She didn't notice the determined look in the cub's eyes. Didn't see Pip's mind working through a problem. Pip watched through the transparent door of her quarters. The human sat at her desk, working on data reports. Inside that room moved normally. Her hands were steady. She reached for things without hesitation. When she stood to stretch, she didn't stumble or sway. But the moment stepped into the corridor, everything changed. Her first step was uncertain. Her second caught on nothing and made her wobble. She put a hand on the wall to steady herself. Pip's ears flattened. This wasn't right, wasn't broken, the ship was. The cub made a decision. Over the next 3 days, Pip followed everywhere. Not obviously. Were good at being quiet when they wanted to be. Pip watched from corners and doorways, studied how moved in different parts of the ship. In the mess hall's tray slipped from her hands. In the observation deck, she bumped into a railing. In the medical bay, she knocked over a container of supplies, each time apologized. Each time she looked a little more defeated. But in her quarters was different. She moved with confidence, with grace. She was beautiful when she didn't have to think about every step. Pip went to the ship's main computer terminal. The cub had access because of Mother's clearance. Believed children should learn by doing, not by being told no. "Computer," Pip said, "show me information about human physiology." The screen filled with data. Pip read everything. Humans had evolved on a heavy world. Their bones were dense. Their muscles were strong. Their inner ear had something called a vestibular system that told them which way was up and how to balance. That system was calibrated for Earth gravity, 1.0 g. The Zenith star ran at 0.8 g, standard gravity for most ships in the fleet. Pip's tail swished faster. "Computer, show me why 0.8 g is standard." More data appeared. 0.8 g was comfortable also for Avarians and in most of the species that founded the Galactic Alliance. It used less power than higher gravity. It was easier on ship structures. It had been standard for 200 years. But it wasn't comfortable for everyone. "Computer, show me species that prefer higher gravity." A list appeared, 37 species out of the 214 in the Alliance. Humans, plenty of others. They all just dealt with it, adjusted, accepted that this was how things were. Pip's claws tapped against the console. Why should they have to adjust? Why couldn't the ship adjust to them? "Computer, show me how the gravity system works." The screen displayed technical schematics. The Zenith star used gravitational field generators, small devices placed throughout the ship that created artificial gravity. Each generator could be adjusted independently. They usually all ran at the same setting for simplicity. But they didn't have to. Pip leaned closer, studying the diagrams. "Can the gravity be different in different places?" "Yes," the computer replied. "Cargo holds and specialized laboratories can be set to different gravity levels for specific needs." "Can it change automatically based on who is in a room?" "That functionality exists, but is not currently implemented. It would require significant programming and calibration." Pip's ears perked forward. "Show me how to program it." The computer hesitated. "That information requires engineering clearance." "I have clearance." Pip used Mother's access code, the one Pip had memorized by watching her work. Technical manuals flooded the screen. Pip began to read. Hours passed. Pip absorbed everything. The mathematics of gravitational fields, the biomechanics of different species, the programming languages that controlled the ship systems. It was complex, very complex, but Pip understood complexity. Were natural engineers. They saw patterns where others saw chaos. They found solutions where others saw problems. And Pip saw a solution. The ship could track each crew member's location using their identification badges. It could know which species each person was. It could adjust the gravity in real time as people moved through different areas. Not dramatically, just enough to make each person comfortable. Humans would get slightly higher gravity. Avarians would get slightly lower. The transitions would be smooth and gradual so no one would get dizzy. Pip started designing, first on paper, then in simulation programs. The cub worked in secret during quiet hours when Mother thought Pip was sleeping. The design took shape, hundreds of adjustment zones throughout the ship, smart algorithms that predicted where people would move, safety protocols to prevent sudden changes, power optimization to keep energy use low. It was beautiful, elegant, perfect, and impossible for a cub to implement without help. Pip stared at the screen, frustrated. The design was complete, but actually installing it required access to the main engineering bay, required authorization that even Mother's clearance wouldn't cover, required time and equipment and probably adult supervision. The cub's tail drooped. Then Pip heard's voice in the corridor outside. "I'll be fine. I just need to grab some samples from the biology lab." "Are you certain?" That was Science Officer Quince. "I can retrieve them for you." "No, I should do it myself. I can't hide in my quarters forever." Pip peered around the corner, stood in the corridor looking determined. She took a step, then another. Her movements were slow and careful, like someone walking on ice. She made it 3 meters before her foot caught on a seam in the deck plating. She stumbled, caught herself on the wall, and closed her eyes for a moment. "I'm okay," she said quietly, to herself, not to anyone else. "I'm okay, just take it slow." Pip watched continue down the corridor. Each step was a challenge. Each movement required concentration, had to think about things that should be automatic. It wasn't fair, was smart and kind and good at her job. She deserved better than this. The cub returned to the terminal with new determination. "Computer, when is the next Gamma shift?" Gamma shift was the quiet time, the ship's night cycle. Most crews slept. Only automated systems and a skeleton crew kept watch. "Gamma shift begins in 4 hours, the computer replied. Pip's mind raced. 4 hours, enough time to prepare. Mother would be asleep. The engineering bay would be empty except for monitoring systems. It was risky, very risky. Pip could get in serious trouble. Cubs weren't supposed to modify ship systems, weren't supposed to access critical engineering controls, weren't supposed to do a lot of things. But cubs also weren't supposed to watch someone suffer when they could help. Pip spent the next 4 hours preparing, downloaded the installation programs to a portable data pad, gathered tools from Mother's personal kit, reviewed the procedures over and over until every step was memorized. When Gamma shift began, Pip waited until Mother was in her sleep cycle. The steady sound of her breathing filled their shared quarters. Pip slipped out quietly, tools hidden in a small pack. The corridors were dim during Gamma shift. Emergency lighting cast everything in soft blue. Pip's paws made no sound on the deck. The engineering bay loomed ahead. The door was locked, but Pip had Mother's access code. The cub's small paw reached up to the control panel. This was the moment. Once Pip entered that room and started working, there was no going back. Pip thought of her face when she apologized for being clumsy, of how she blamed herself for problems that weren't her fault. The cub entered the code. The door slid open. The engineering bay was a cathedral of machinery. Gravitational field generators hummed softly. Control systems blinked with status lights. Everything was organized and perfect, exactly how Mother liked it. Pip approached the main control console. The cub's reflection stared back from the dark screen. Small, young, probably too young to be doing this. But old enough to care, old enough to try. Pip activated the console and began to work. The installation was more complicated than the simulation suggested. The ship's systems were old, with safety protocols stacked on top of safety protocols. Each change required confirmation. Each modification needed verification. Pip worked steadily, following the procedures exactly. Connect to the gravitational field network, upload the new control algorithms, configure the biometric tracking system, set the adjustment parameters for each species. Time became meaningless. Pip existed only in the work. The cub's paws flew across the controls, entering commands and adjusting settings. Hours passed, maybe 2, maybe 3, Pip didn't notice. Then the final step arrived: activate the new system. Pip's paw hovered over the control. This was it. Once activated, the changes would be permanent unless someone manually reversed them. The ship would never be the same. The cub pressed the button. The engineering bay's lights flickered. Gravity fluctuated just for a moment. Every screen flashed as the new system came online. Across the entire ship, hundreds of field generators recalibrated themselves. And then everything stabilized. Pip checked the monitors, all systems green. No errors. The gravitational field map showed a complex pattern of subtle variations, each zone optimized for different species. It worked, it actually worked. The cub slumped against the console, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had powered the work drained away all at once. Pip felt small again, young again. And scared, because the door to the engineering bay was sliding open, and Mother stood there in her sleep clothes, eyes wide with shock. "Pip, what are you doing here?" More crew members appeared behind her. Someone must have noticed the system fluctuations. Alarms would have gone off in crew quarters when the gravity changed. Commander pushed through the crowd. "What is happening? Who is accessing engineering systems?" Everyone stared at Pip, at the small cub standing alone in the engineering bay, surrounded by active control systems and blinking monitors. "I fixed it," Pip said. The cub's voice came out smaller than intended. "I fixed the gravity, so it won't be clumsy anymore." Mother's face went through several emotions very quickly. Shock, fear, confusion. You did what? The gravity was wrong for her, for humans, for lots of species. Pip pulled up the schematics to show them. "Look, I made zones, different gravity for different people. It adjusts automatically when you move. Everyone gets what they need." Approached the console. His compound eyes studied the displays. "You the entire gravitational field system, you, a cub." Pip's ears flattened. "I know I'm not supposed to access these systems without permission. I know it's against the rules, but was hurting and no one was helping and I could fix it, so I did." An alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across multiple screens. "The fields are unstable," someone shouted. "We need to shut this down before something breaks." Mother rushed to the console. Her paws flew across the controls, checking systems and reading data. Pip watched, waiting for her to reverse everything, to undo all the work. But Mother's movements slowed. Her ears tilted forward as she read the information. "Wait," she said. "Everyone wait. The fields aren't unstable. The monitoring system is just flagging the changes as unusual because it's never seen this configuration before." Moved closer. "Are you certain?" "Look at the actual readings. Power consumption is normal. Field integrity is solid. The generators are functioning within acceptable parameters." Mother turned to stare at Pip. "The programming is sophisticated, very sophisticated. Where did you learn to do this?" "I studied," Pip said quietly. "I watched you work. I read the manuals. I practiced in simulations." "This is beyond simulation work." Mother pulled up more displays. "These algorithms account for mass distribution and movement prediction. The transition zones are mathematically optimized. This is professional-grade engineering." Someone pushed through the crowd, stood in the doorway wearing sleep clothes and looking confused. "What's going on? Why are there alarms?" She stepped into the engineering bay, took 2 steps, then stopped. Her eyes went wide. "The gravity," she whispered, "it's different." She took another step, then another, moving normally. Moving the way she moved in her quarters, her balance was perfect. Her feet landed exactly where she expected them. Looked down at her own legs like she'd never seen them before. Then she looked at Pip. "Did you do this?" Her voice cracked. "For me?" Pip nodded, not trusting words. Crossed the room in quick, confident strides. She knelt in front of Pip and wrapped the cub in a hug. Pip felt wetness on his face. "You sweet, brilliant, wonderful child," said. "You made the ship fit me instead of making me fit the ship." "You're not clumsy," Pip said into his shoulder. "You never were. The ship was just wrong." Cleared his throat. "This is very touching, but we have a serious situation. Unauthorized modification of life support systems is a severe violation of regulations. I must report this to Alliance oversight." Stood, keeping one hand on Pip's shoulder. Commander, please, Pip was trying to help. I understand the intention, but the rules exist for safety reasons. Looked at Pip. What you did was dangerous. What if something had gone wrong? What if the gravitational fields had failed? I was careful, Pip said. I tested everything in simulation first. I followed all the safety protocols. I double-checked every calculation. You are a cub, said gently. Cubs should not be making modifications to ship systems, no matter how careful they are. Pip's ears drooped. The cub knew this was coming, had known from the start, but it didn't make it easier to hear. However, continued, I would like to test this new system before making any final decisions. If it works as intended, perhaps we can find a more appropriate response than simple punishment. He turned to Mother. Can you verify the safety of these modifications? Mother was already working at the console. I need time to review everything thoroughly, but initial analysis suggests the system is stable. I want to run comprehensive diagnostics. Do so. I want a full report by the end of Alpha Shift. Looked at the gathered crew. Everyone except essential engineering personnel return to your quarters. We will address this situation properly in the morning. The crew filed out slowly. Many looked at Pip with expressions the cub couldn't read. Curiosity, concern, approval. Squeezed Pip's shoulder once more before leaving. Thank you, she whispered. No matter what happens, thank you. Then it was just Pip, Mother, and the humming machines. Mother knelt in front of Pip. Do you understand what you did, the risk you took? Yes, Mother. Do you understand that I should be very angry with you right now? Pip nodded. Mother pulled the cub into a tight hug. I am angry and terrified and so proud I don't know what to do with it. She held Pip for a long moment, then she sat back and looked at the console. Show me everything, walk me through exactly what you did. They worked through the night together. Mother asked questions and Pip answered. They checked every line of code, every field calibration, every safety protocol. As the ship's night cycle gave way to morning, Mother sat back and shook her head. This is good work, little one, really good work, but you should not have done it alone. Would you have let me try if I asked? Mother was quiet for a moment. Probably not. I would have thought you were too young, too inexperienced. She touched Pip's face gently. I would have been wrong. What will happen to me? I don't know, but whatever happens, we'll face it together. Outside the engineering bay, the crew of the Zenith Star was beginning to notice something strange. They felt Commander called a meeting of the senior staff at midday. The conference room felt too small with everyone crowded inside. Pip sat in a chair that was too big, feet dangling above the floor. Mother stood behind the cub, one paw on Pip's shoulder. Sat across the table, looking worried. Other department heads filled the remaining seats. Science Officer Quince, Medical Officer, Navigation Chief, all of them watching Pip with different expressions. We are here to discuss the unauthorized modifications made to our gravitational systems, began. His antennae twitched in what might have been agitation. Chief Engineer, your report. Mother stepped forward. I have completed a full analysis of the modifications. The system is stable and operating within normal parameters. In fact, power consumption has decreased by 3% due to optimized field generation. She activated a holographic display showing the ship's gravitational map. Different colors indicated different gravity levels. The pattern was complex but organized. The system tracks crew location through identification badges and adjusts gravity in approximately 150 zones throughout the ship. Transitions between zones are gradual to prevent disorientation. Each species has been assigned optimal gravitational settings based on their conditions. Quince leaned forward, his feathers ruffling. And the safety protocols. Comprehensive. If the tracking system fails, all zones revert to standard point 8G. If any generator shows signs of failure, adjacent generators compensate automatically. The emergency override is still fully functional. Mother paused. The engineering is solid, better than what I could have designed myself. Turned to Pip. Where did you learn to do this? I studied the manuals, Pip said quietly. I watched Mother work. I ran simulations for 3 weeks before I tried the real thing. 3 weeks, the medical tendrils curled in surprise. You planned this for 3 weeks. I wanted to make sure it would work, that it would be safe, Pip looked at. I didn't want to make things worse. Clicked his mandibles together, a sound that meant deep thought. The technical achievement is impressive, but we must discuss the violation itself. You accessed restricted systems without authorization. You modified life support equipment. These are serious breaches of protocol. I know, Pip said. I'm sorry I broke the rules, but I'm not sorry I helped. The rules exist for good reasons, said. What if your calculations had been wrong? What if the system had failed catastrophically? Then I would have reversed it immediately. I had a rollback procedure ready, and the safety systems would have caught any problems. Pip's tail curled tight. I was careful, I promise I was careful. Spoke up, Commander, I have relevant information. Since the new system activated, I've been monitoring crew health metrics. They have improved across the board. Improved how? Asked. Reduced muscle strain, better balance and coordination, lower stress hormone levels, brought up medical data on the display. 17 different species are showing measurable benefits, including. The room went quiet. We're more comfortable too, Quince asked. The adjustment is subtle. Most of you probably haven't consciously noticed. But yes, the system has optimized gravity for everyone, not just humans. Tendrils gestured at the data. We've been operating at 0.8G for so long, we forgot that it was a compromise. Not ideal for anyone, just acceptable for everyone. Cleared her throat. May I say something, Commander? Nodded. I've spent 6 months feeling like a failure, like I wasn't good enough to be here. I blamed myself for every stumble, every dropped tool, every accident. His voice grew stronger. But it wasn't my fault. The environment wasn't built for me, and instead of questioning the environment, I questioned myself. She looked at Pip with obvious affection. This child saw what adults missed, that maybe the problem wasn't me adapting poorly. Maybe the problem was that I shouldn't have to adapt at all. The galaxy runs on standards, said. 0.8G has been the standard for 200 years. Should we question everything that has worked for centuries? Yes, said simply. If the standard hurts people, yes, we should question it. The navigation chief spoke for the first time. His rocky face was hard to read. We prefer high gravity. I have served on ships for 30 years. I adapted. He paused. But I should not have needed to. This cub is right. We accepted discomfort as normal when it did not need to be. Other voices joined in. Species Pip had never expected spoke up about small discomforts they'd lived with. Aches they'd attributed to age. Coordination issues they'd blamed on themselves. The ship had been hurting its crew in tiny, invisible ways for years, and everyone had just accepted it. Listened to all of it. Finally, he held up one hand for silence. This is a larger discussion than I anticipated, but first we must address the immediate situation. Pip violated regulations. That cannot be ignored. Mother squeezed Pip's shoulder. I take responsibility for my cub's actions. No, Pip said. I did this. I knew it was wrong to break the rules. I should face the consequences, not Mother. Santeni drooped slightly. You are very young to accept such responsibility. I'm old enough to modify a ship's gravitational system, Pip said. I should be old enough to accept what happens because of it. The commander studied Pip for a long moment. Then he said, I need to consult with Alliance oversight. This is beyond my authority to handle alone. We will reconvene when I have their guidance. The meeting ended. Crew members filed out slowly, many stopping to look at Pip, some with approval, some with concern, knelt beside Pip's chair. Whatever happens, you changed my life, she said. You gave me back something I thought I'd lost. What did you lose? Pip asked. My confidence, my belief in myself, touched Pip's fuzzy head gently. You helped me see that I'm not broken, thank you for that. Over the next 2 days, something strange happened. The crew couldn't stop talking about the gravity system. Word spread about how well it worked, how much better everyone felt, how such a simple change had improved their daily lives. Scientists ran tests and took measurements. They found efficiency increases across every department. Work that required precise motor control became easier. Fatigue levels dropped. Even sleep quality improved. Became a symbol of the change. She moved through the ship with grace now, no longer the clumsy human everyone. She completed tasks she'd avoided before. Helped with experiments that required steady hands. Proved her worth as a scientist, not just as someone to feel sorry for. Pip spent those 2 days in quarters with Mother, waiting. The cub tried to study and play, but mostly just worried. On the 3rd day, summoned them to his office. The commander's office was neat and organized like everything else. Sat behind his desk, a data pad in front of him. His expression was unreadable. "Please sit," he said. Mother and Pip sat, was there too, having been asked to attend. "I have heard from Alliance Oversight," began. "They are aware of the situation. They have reviewed Chief Engineer's technical analysis and medical officer's health data." He paused, Pip's heart hammered. "They are sending a team to evaluate the system. Fleet Admiral himself will arrive in 5 days. "The Fleet Admiral?" Mother's ears went flat. "That's very high level for a discipline case." "This is no longer just a discipline case," touched his data pad. "The Alliance Engineering Corps is interested in Pip's work, very interested. They want to assess whether this system could be implemented fleet-wide." Pip stared. "Fleet-wide? If it works as well as the data suggests, yes, thousands of ships could potentially benefit." Looked at Pip seriously. "You may have accidentally started something very large, young one." Leaned forward. "What about the rule violation? What happens to Pip?" "That is complicated." Zantenni twitched. "Normally, such a violation would result in expulsion from the ship and a permanent mark on the Cub's record. However, the results complicate matters. How do you punish someone for breaking rules while simultaneously helping thousands of beings?" "So what will happen?" Mother asked. "I do not know. The Admiral will decide." Looked at Pip. "I can tell you what I recommended. I suggested that you receive both a reprimand for the violation and a commendation for the innovation. That the reprimand remain on your record as a reminder that the ends do not always justify the means, and that the commendation remain as recognition that sometimes young beings see what older beings miss." Pip absorbed this, both a punishment and a reward. Life is complex. Actions can be both wrong and right simultaneously. Stood. "Until the Admiral arrives, you are restricted to quarters except for meals and supervised activities. This is not punishment but precaution. We need to ensure you do not access any other systems." "I understand," Pip said. Mother stood too, drawing Pip close. "Thank you, Commander, for being fair." "I am trying to be wise. Wisdom is harder than fairness." Looked at. "Human, I owe you an apology." Blinked. "For what?" "I assumed your difficulties were simply something you needed to overcome. I never questioned whether the environment might be the problem. That was a failure of imagination on my part." "You weren't the only one. I blamed myself too." "Perhaps that is the greatest lesson here. We all assumed the standards were correct because they had existed for so long. We forgot that standards should serve people, not the other way around." His mandibles clicked softly. "A cub had to remind us of that." The next 5 days passed slowly. Pip stayed in quarters as ordered, but the isolation wasn't complete. Crew members found excuses to visit. Scientists asked questions about the gravitational algorithms. Engineers wanted to understand the programming. Even Quince stopped by to discuss the philosophical implications of adaptive systems. Visited every day, bringing stories about her work. "I helped calibrate the quantum sensors today," she said on day 3. "My hands were steady enough to do it properly. Do you know how good that feels?" Pip did know. Seeing confident and happy made everything worth it. On day 4, Mother sat with Pip and talked seriously. "Whatever the Admiral decides, I want you to know something. What you did was wrong in one way and right in another. You will need to understand that complexity as you grow older. The galaxy is not simple. Right actions can break rules. Following rules can cause harm. You need wisdom to navigate that." "How do I get wisdom?" Pip asked. "By making mistakes and learning from them, by listening to others, by thinking carefully before you act." Mother touched Pip's face. "And by staying kind, that's the most important part. You did this because you cared about suffering. Never lose that kindness." On the 5th day, the Alliance transport arrived. Fleet Admiral came aboard with a full team. Engineers, scientists, medical personnel, and legal advisors. They descended on the Zenith Star like a swarm, examining everything. Pip was called to a formal hearing. The conference room had been rearranged into something like a courtroom. Admiral sat at the head of the table, flanked by senior officers. Pip sat across from them, Mother on one side and on the other. The Admiral was human, Pip realized, older with gray hair and sharp eyes. She studied Pip for a long moment before speaking. "I am Fleet Admiral. I have reviewed your case, Pip of Clan. I have read the technical reports. I have examined the medical data. I have spoken with Commander and your crew mates. She leaned forward. Now I want to hear from you. Why did you do this? Pip took a breath. Because was suffering and I could help, it seemed simple. Modifying a starship's gravitational system is not simple. The solution was simple. The engineering was complicated, but the reason was simple. Someone was hurting. I could make it stop, so I did. Admiral's expression softened slightly. Did you consider the rules you were breaking? Yes, I knew it was wrong to access those systems without permission. I knew I could get in trouble, but was more important than rules. That is a dangerous philosophy, one of the other officers said. If everyone decided when rules matter, we would have chaos. I didn't decide rules don't matter, Pip said. I decided mattered more. There's a difference. Admiral held up a hand to silence the other officer. Tell me about the 3 weeks you spent planning. What were you thinking during that time? I was scared, Pip admitted. Scared I would make a mistake, scared I would make things worse. So I checked everything many times. I ran hundreds of simulations. I studied safety protocols until I could recite them. I was breaking rules, but I wanted to do it as safely as possible. Why didn't you ask an adult for help? Because adults would have said no. They would have said I was too young, that the standards were fine. That just needed more time to adapt. Pip looked at the Admiral. They would have been wrong, but they wouldn't have known they were wrong. Sometimes cubs see things adults miss. Admiral sat back. My engineers have spent 3 days examining your work. Do you know what they found? Pip shook head. No flaws, not one. Your programming is elegant. Your safety protocols are comprehensive. Your mathematical models are sophisticated. The Admiral's voice held a note of wonder. You designed a system that my own engineers say they could not have done better. At your age, that should be impossible. I just did what needed to be done, Pip said quietly. That is the definition of engineering, Admiral said. Seeing what needs to be done and finding a way to do it. She stood and walked around the table, knelt in front of Pip so they were eye to eye. You broke serious rules. You endangered yourself and potentially your crew. Those actions have consequences. She paused. You also created something remarkable, something that may change how the entire fleet operates, that also has consequences. What kind of consequences? Mother asked. Admiral stood. For the rule violations, Pip will receive a formal reprimand that will remain on their permanent record. This is non-negotiable. Breaking protocols must have consequences, even when done with good intentions. Pip's ears drooped. However, the Admiral continued, Pip will also receive the Alliance Medal for Engineering Innovation. This is the highest civilian engineering honor we can bestow. You will be the youngest recipient in history. The room went silent. Additionally, when Pip reaches the appropriate age, you will be offered conditional acceptance to the Galactic Engineering Academy. You may attend without the normal entrance examinations, should you choose to do so. Mother made a soft sound, grabbed Pip's paw and squeezed. Finally, we want to implement your gravitational system across the fleet, with proper testing and refinement. You will be credited as the primary designer. When ships benefit from this technology, they will know a young cub made their lives better. Admiral smiled. You saw a problem everyone else accepted. You found a solution everyone else missed. You had the courage to act even when you knew you might face punishment. That is what engineers do. That is what heroes do. She saluted Pip, a formal military salute. Pip didn't know what to do, so the cub saluted back, copying the gesture. The hearing ended. Crew members who had been waiting outside rushed in, congratulating Pip. The mood was celebration mixed with relief. Hugged Pip tight. You did it. You actually changed everything. I just wanted you to not be clumsy anymore, Pip said. I was never clumsy. You taught me that. And now the whole galaxy is going to learn the same lesson. That night there was a celebration in the mess hall. Real food instead of rations. Music playing. Crew members from different species dancing and talking. Entered the room and walked to the center of the floor. Everyone watched. She moved with perfect grace, spinning once with her arms out. This is what it feels like to be human in the right gravity, she announced. This is what Pip gave me, the ability to be myself without apologizing for it. The crew cheered. Someone started music and danced. Really danced the way humans danced on Earth, joyful and free and beautiful. Pip watched from a corner, tired but happy. Mother sat beside the cub. You did good, little one, she said. You did very good. I broke the rules, though. Yes, and you'll carry that reprimand forever, but you'll also carry the knowledge that you helped thousands of beings, that you saw what needed changing and you changed it. Mother pulled Pip close. That's the burden and gift of being an engineer. We see the world as it is and imagine how it could be better. Then we make it so. Pip leaned against Mother, watching dance. The human was laughing now, spinning with other crew members who were also moving more freely than before. The ship hummed around them, its gravity fields adjusting and adapting, making everyone comfortable, making everyone welcome. The weeks following Admiral's visit changed everything aboard the Zenith Star. Engineering teams from 6 different ships arrived to study Pip's gravitational system. They took measurements, ran simulations, and asked endless questions. The young cub became something of a celebrity, though Pip didn't much like the attention. Watched it all with mixed feelings. She was proud of Pip, of course, but she also noticed how the cub grew quieter as more strangers arrived, how Pip started hiding in corners when visitors came looking. Too many people, Pip said one evening, curled up in quarters. Everyone wants to talk about the gravity system, about mathematics and engineering. No one just wants to talk. Understood, she'd felt the same way when she first arrived. Everyone had opinions about the clumsy human. Few people actually wanted to know her. Want to help me with something? Asked. I'm analyzing soil samples from the asteroid field. It's quiet work, just you and me and some dirt. Pip's ears perked up. Really? Really, I could use an assistant with small paws. Some of these samples are tiny. They spent the evening working side by side, explained what she was looking for in each sample. Pip asked questions that had nothing to do with gravity or engineering. They fell into an easy rhythm, talking about anything and everything. I got a message from my family on Earth, said as they worked. My sister is getting married next year. She wants me to come home for the wedding. Will you go? I want to, but it means leaving the ship for a while, leaving the mission. Carefully separated a sample into smaller portions. Leaving you. Pip's tail drooped. Oh. Hey, it's just a visit. I'll come back. Besides, by then you'll probably be too busy being famous to notice I'm gone. I don't want to be famous. I just wanted to help you. Set down her tools and pulled Pip into a hug. I know, and that's exactly why you deserve all the recognition you're getting. You didn't do it for glory. You did it because you cared. A chime sounded at the door, groaned. If that's another engineering team, I'm going to pretend we're not here. But it was Commander. May I come in? Gestured him inside. The commander looked tired, his antennae drooping slightly. I apologize for the interruption. I wanted to inform you both of a development. He pulled up a holographic display. The Alliance Council has made a decision regarding Pip's gravitational system. Pip tensed. What kind of decision? They want to implement it across the entire fleet, all military vessels and civilian transports. The rollout will begin in 3 months. His mandibles clicked. They are calling it the Adaptive Comfort Initiative. Pip's name will be attached to the project. That's wonderful, said. Isn't it wonderful, Pip? But Pip just looked overwhelmed. The whole fleet. Approximately 14,000 vessels. Millions of crew members will benefit from your work, studied the cub carefully. You do not seem pleased. I am pleased. It's just very big. I didn't think about it being that big. Big things often start small, said. A cub helping a friend. That small act of kindness is about to change the galaxy. You should be proud. After he left, Pip sat quietly for a long time. Didn't push. She just continued working on her samples, letting the cub think. Finally, Pip said, What if I made a mistake? What if there's something wrong with the system and I don't know it? What if millions of people get hurt because I missed something? Did you make a mistake? Asked. I don't think so, but I'm young. I could have missed something. You know what I learned from this whole experience? Set down her tools. Perfection isn't possible. We do our best, we check our work, and we accept that sometimes we'll still make mistakes. That's not failure, that's being alive. But if my mistake hurts people, then we'll fix it. That's what engineers do, right? They see what's wrong and they fix it. Touched Pip's fuzzy head. You won't be doing this alone. There are teams of experts checking your work. If there's a problem, they'll find it. What if they don't? Then we trust that you did your best, that you were careful and thorough and smart. That's all anyone can do, smiled. Besides, your best is pretty impressive. I have faith in you. Pip leaned against her. Thank you for letting me hide in here. Anytime, that's what friends are for. The next month brought more changes. News spread through the alliance about the young engineer. Media outlets requested interviews. Scientists wanted to study how a cub had achieved what trained engineers missed. Educational institutions offered scholarships and opportunities. Mother fielded most of it, protecting Pip from the overwhelming attention. But some things couldn't be avoided. A delegation from the Galactic Engineering Academy arrived to formally present Pip's acceptance offer. They brought gifts and speeches and media crews. Pip stood through it all, small and uncomfortable, while adults made grand pronouncements about the future of engineering. Watched from the crowd, she saw how Pip's ears stayed flat the whole time, how the cub's tail barely moved. This wasn't celebration for Pip, this was obligation. After the ceremony, found Pip hiding in an equipment locker. Hey, hero, you okay? I don't feel like a hero. I feel like everyone wants me to be someone I'm not. Squeezed into the locker beside Pip, it was cramped but private. What do you mean? They keep talking about my brilliance and my achievement and my future. But I'm just Pip. I like engineering because it's fun. I helped you because you're my friend. I don't want to be a symbol or a prodigy or whatever they're calling me. Then don't be yourself. Let them make speeches and give awards, but you get to decide who you are. What if who I am isn't good enough? Laughed softly. Pip, you rebuilt a starship's gravity system when you were barely old enough to read instruction manuals. You are more than good enough. You've always been good enough. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Pip said, I'm scared about the academy, about leaving Mother and the ship and you. That's not for years yet. You've got time to figure out what you want. What if I don't want to go? What if I just want to stay here and work with Mother and hang out with you? Then that's okay too. The offer doesn't have an expiration date. You can go when you're ready or not at all. Shifted in the cramped space. The galaxy doesn't get to decide your future, you do. I wish I could just make the attention go away. I know, but people are excited because what you did was genuinely amazing. They'll calm down eventually. The news cycle moves on. In a few months, something else will capture everyone's attention and you can go back to being just Pip. You think so? I know so. I was the clumsy human, remember? Everyone had opinions about me. Now I'm just the who happens to be human. The novelty wears off. Pip considered this. Will you really come back after your sister's wedding? Of course, you think I'd miss watching you grow up. Someone has to keep you humble. You're not very good at that. You keep telling me I'm brilliant. Because you are, but you're also a kid who hides in equipment lockers when things get overwhelming. You can be both. A knock on the locker door made them both jump. Mother's voice came through. I know you're in there, little one. The ambassador from Prime wants to meet you. Pip groaned. Tell them Pip needs a break, called out. Official medical recommendation. Too much socializing causes exhaustion in young cubs. I am not lying to an ambassador, Mother said, but there was amusement in her voice. It's not a lie, look at Pip, definitely exhausted. They heard Mother sigh. Fine, I will tell them you are resting, but you cannot hide forever. Just a few more hours, Pip pleaded. A few more hours, then dinner and bed, and tomorrow you will be polite to at least 3 important people. 2 people. 3. 2.5. That is not how people work, but Mother's footsteps retreated, giving them space. Pip slumped in relief. I don't know how you dealt with everyone staring at you all the time. I mostly just felt terrible about myself, which I don't recommend, stretched as much as the small space allowed. You're handling this better than I did, at least you know your worth. Only because you taught me. You showed me that being different doesn't mean being wrong. We taught each other. You showed me that environments should adapt to people, not the other way around. That's a lesson I needed. They sat in the locker until their legs cramped and backs started to ache. Then they emerged into the corridor, blinking in the bright lights. Science Officer Quint stood nearby, pretending not to notice them climbing out of storage. Ah, I was looking for you. I need help with the quantum analysis. Sure, let me drop Pip off first. No need, the work is in Lab 3. Pip can help if interested. Pip perked up, really. You have clever paws and good mathematical sense. Also, you are not an ambassador or media representative. I find that refreshing. They worked together for the next few hours. Quince explained the analysis in simple terms. Pip asked smart questions, handled the samples while Pip recorded data. It was normal, comfortable, just three scientists working on a problem together. Other crew members started doing the same thing, inviting Pip to help with routine work, treating the cub like a regular member of the crew rather than a celebrity. Slowly, Pip relaxed back into familiar rhythms. But the attention didn't completely go away. Ships implementing the new gravity system sent reports, positive reports. Crew retention improved, medical issues decreased, efficiency increased. Every report mentioned Pip by name. Every improvement was attributed to the young engineer who had seen what needed changing. Watched Pip struggle with it all, the pride and the pressure, the recognition and the responsibility. One evening, she found Pip alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Thinking deep thoughts, asked, "Wondering if I did the right thing. Having doubts. Not about the engineering, that works, but maybe I should have gone through proper channels, asked permission, done things the right way." Pip's tail curled tight. "Admiral gave me an award and a reprimand. Sometimes I think about the reprimand more than the award." Sat beside Pip. "That's called having a conscience. It's a good thing." "It doesn't feel good." "No, it doesn't. But it means you understand that actions have complexity. That doing good doesn't erase doing wrong. That's a very grown-up thing to understand." "I don't want to be grown-up yet." "Then don't be, you've got time," pointed at a nearby star. "See that one? That's Prime. I've never been there. We left when I was tiny." "Your family still has property there, right? Maybe someday you'll visit, build things, make changes." "Maybe." Pip was quiet for a moment. "Do you ever wish things had been different, that the ship had been right for you from the start?" "Sometimes it would have been easier," smiled. "But then you wouldn't have had a reason to rebuild the gravity system. Thousands of crew members wouldn't have better lives now. I wouldn't have learned that I'm not broken, just different." "So you're glad you were clumsy?" "I'm glad I met you. I'm glad you saw me as someone worth helping. I'm glad you taught me that standards aren't sacred." Put an arm around Pip. "Being clumsy led to something good, but I was never actually clumsy, just human in the wrong environment." "You're human in the right environment now." "Thanks to you." They sat together, watching stars drift by. The ship hummed around them, its gravity fields adjusting constantly, making everyone comfortable, making everyone welcome. A small act of kindness, grown into something magnificent. Pip said quietly, "When you go to Earth for the wedding, can you tell your family something for me?" "Of course, what?" "Tell them they raised someone who taught me that being different is okay. That helped me be brave enough to try something impossible." Pip leaned against her. "Tell them thank you." Sighs got wet. "I will, and I'll tell them about you, about the brilliant, kind, slightly overwhelmed cub who changed my life." "I'm not that brilliant." "Yes, you are. You just also happen to be humble. Another excellent quality." Pip's ears perked up slightly. "You really think I'm excellent?" "I know you are. And someday, when you're ready, you're going to do even more amazing things. But right now, you're perfect exactly as you are. Small and scared and hiding from ambassadors." "I wasn't hiding. I was taking necessary mental health breaks." "My mistake, very professional of you." They sat until Gamma shift began and the lights dimmed. Then walked Pip back to quarters, where Mother waited with warm food and a comfortable bed. "Thank you for looking after my cub," Mother said. "Pip looks after me just as much. We're even." As walked back to her own quarters, she thought about how much had changed, how much she had changed. The clumsy human was gone. In her place was someone confident, capable, comfortable in her own skin because the skin finally had the right environment. And it was all because a child refused to accept that suffering was normal. The galaxy was learning that lesson now, ship by ship, system by system. All because Pip saw what needed fixing and fixed it. All because kindness mattered more than rules. 6 months had passed since Admiral's visit. The Zenith Star continued its research mission, studying quantum anomalies that danced through the nebula like cosmic ghosts. The work was fascinating and important, but found herself thinking more about what waited at the end of their journey than the journey itself. Her sister's wedding was in 3 weeks, had already submitted her leave request. Commander had approved it without hesitation. "You have earned time with your family," he'd said. "We will manage without you for a few weeks." But Pip was taking the news badly. "It's only 3 weeks," said for the 5th time that day. They were in the biology lab organizing samples, or trying to. Pip kept dropping things. 3 weeks is a long time. Pip's tail dragged on the floor. What if something happens and you don't come back? What could possibly happen at a wedding? "I don't know. Human weddings might be dangerous. I have never been to one." Laughed despite the cub's obvious distress. "They're not dangerous. Well, the dancing can be dangerous if Uncle Frank has too much wine, but mostly it's just people celebrating love." "Will there be gravity?" "Yes, Pip, Earth has gravity, quite a lot of it actually." "But will you be okay, without the ship's adjusted fields?" Stopped working and pulled Pip close. "I'll be fine. Earth is remember, I grew up there. I know how to exist in full gravity." "But you've been on the ship for so long. What if you're different now?" "Then I'll adapt, just like I adapted here. Humans are good at adapting," tilted Pip's face up. "Hey, what's really bothering you?" Pip was quiet for a long moment. Then in a very small voice, "What if you like Earth better? What if you decide to stay?" "Oh, sweetie, is that what you're worried about? You were so unhappy here before, calling yourself clumsy and failing at everything. Maybe you'll get home and realize you want to stay where things are easy." His heart ached. "Come here." She sat on the floor and pulled Pip into her lap. "I was unhappy because I thought something was wrong with me. You fixed that. You showed me I wasn't broken, that the environment was wrong, not me." "But Earth is the right environment for you." "Earth is where I'm from, but this ship is where I belong now, where my work is, where my friends are," squeezed Pip tight. "Where you are, I'm coming back, Pip, I promise." "You can't promise that. What if your ship crashes? What if there's a war? What if you meet someone and fall in love and decide to stay on Earth forever?" "Okay, you're spiraling. Let's try this differently." Pulled out her data pad. "I'm going to set up a communication schedule. We'll talk every day while I'm gone. You can tell me about your work and I'll tell you about wedding planning disasters. Deal?" Pip's ears perked up slightly. "Every day." "Every single day, rain or shine. Even if I'm busy, even if you're busy, we make time to talk." Programmed the schedule into her pad. "See, daily calls at 1800 hours ship time. That works with Earth's rotation where my family lives." "What if the communication array breaks?" "Then I'll fix it, or pay someone to fix it, or send you messages by courier ship. I will find a way to talk to you, Pip. That's a promise I can actually keep." Pip finally relaxed a little. "Okay, every day." "Every day." They finished organizing the samples in comfortable silence. Then Pip said, "Will you tell me about your family, so I can picture where you are?" Smiled. "My sister Lisa is getting married. She's a teacher, very organized, very excited about this wedding. She's been planning it for a year. My parents are both retired now. Dad used to be an engineer, actually. He'll love hearing about what you did with the gravity system." "Really?" "Really, Mom was a doctor. They live in a small town near the ocean. The wedding is on the beach at sunset, very romantic." "What's an ocean?" Pulled up images on her pad, showed Pip pictures of Earth's vast blue waters. The cub's eyes went wide. "That much water, just sitting there?" "Yep, covers most of the planet. Earth is a water world, technically. Humans just happen to live on the dry parts." Pip studied the images with intense focus. "It's beautiful, scary, but beautiful." "That's Earth in general, beautiful and scary and home." Showed more pictures, her family, the beach where the wedding would happen. "I want you to know where I'll be, so it feels less far away." Over the next 3 weeks, prepared for her trip, she finished all her pending research, trained another crew member to cover her duties, packed clothes suitable for Earth gravity and Earth weather. Pip helped with everything, still anxious but trying to hide it. The cub asked endless questions about Earth. What did humans eat? How did they dress? What were their customs? Answered everything patiently, understanding that knowledge made Pip feel more in control. The night before's departure, Commander hosted a small dinner in her honor. Just the senior staff and a few close friends, including Pip, who sat between and Mother, picking at food without much appetite. "We will miss you, human," said, raising a glass of nectar. "You have become an important part of this crew, not just for your scientific expertise, but for your kindness and perseverance." Thank you, Commander. I'll miss everyone too. Raised her own glass. But I'll be back before you know it. Try not to make any major discoveries without me. We make no promises, Quint said with what might have been a smile. The universe does not wait for weddings. After dinner, walked Pip back to quarters. The cub moved slowly, dragging out every step. You know what, said, I have something for you, wait here. She ran to her quarters and returned with a small package. I was going to save this for when I got back, but I think you need it now. Pip opened the package carefully. Inside was a communication device, small, portable, with a screen and speaker. What is it? It's a direct line to my personal comm unit. The calls we scheduled will go through the ship's main system, but this is private, just for us. Knelt down. If you're scared or sad or just want to talk, you use this. Anytime, day or night, I'll answer. Even in the middle of the wedding. Even in the middle of the wedding, you're more important than any ceremony. Pip clutched the device like it was the most precious thing in the galaxy. Thank you. Thank you for being my friend, for seeing me when everyone else saw problems, for caring enough to break rules. Hugged Pip tight. You changed my life, little one. I'll never forget that. You changed mine too. You were the first adult who treated me like my thoughts mattered. Your thoughts do matter. Don't let anyone tell you different. They sat together for a long time, neither wanting to let go. Finally, Mother appeared in the doorway. Time for sleep, little one. Has an early shuttle to catch. Pip nodded reluctantly. Goodbye, have a safe trip. Not goodbye, see you soon, there's a difference. The next morning, boarded the shuttle to the transport station. Pip and Mother came to see her off. The cub was trying to be brave, but failing. Tears leaked from those big green eyes. Hey, no tears, remember what we said. Every day at 1800 hours. I'll remember. And you have the direct line if you need me. I know. Kiss the top of Pip's fuzzy head. Be good, listen to your mother, don't rebuild any major ship systems while I'm gone. That got a small smile. I'll try. The shuttle departed, watched through the viewport as the zenith star grew smaller, her home for the past year, her workplace, her refuge. The place where a child had seen her struggling and decided to help. The journey to Earth took 5 days through various transport connections. Sent messages to Pip every day, describing the ships she traveled on and the people she met. Pip sent messages back, talking about research and the crew and how much the ship felt empty without there. On the 3rd day, Pip's message was different. Something happened. The gravity system on Sector 7 failed, just for a few minutes. Everyone is okay, but I'm scared. What if I made a mistake? What if the whole thing breaks? Immediately called on the direct line, not waiting for the scheduled time. Pip, talk to me. What happened exactly? A generator in Sector 7 went offline. The system compensated like it's supposed to, but for 3 minutes people had standard gravity instead of adjusted gravity. What if it happens again? What if it happens everywhere? Did your mother check the logs? Yes, she said it was a hardware failure, not a programming error. The generator was old and needed replacement anyway. Then it's not your fault. Hardware fails sometimes. That's why you built in redundancy and safety protocols. The system worked exactly as designed. But people were uncomfortable. I heard complaints. 3 minutes of discomfort versus months of constant comfort. I think you're still winning. Kept her voice calm and steady. Pip, you can't control everything. You designed the best system you could. You built in safety measures. You did your job. Now you have to trust that it will work. What if I can't trust it? Then you'll worry yourself sick over things you can't control. Is that what you want? Pip was quiet, then no. Tell you what, when I get back, we'll review the system together. Check every line of code, every protocol, every backup measure. If there are improvements to make, we'll make them. But right now, you need to trust that you did good work. Can you do that? I'll try. That's all I ask. Now tell me about your day. What research did you help with? They talked until Pip calmed down. Until the cub was laughing about Science Officer Quince's terrible jokes and Mother attempts to cook human food. Arrived on Earth feeling torn, happy to be home but missing the ship, excited for the wedding but worried about Pip. Her family met her at the landing port, her sister Lisa glowing with pre-wedding happiness. Her parents, older than remembered but still vibrant. They hugged her tight and talked over each other, asking about space and aliens and adventure. That night at 1800 hours ship time, excused herself from dinner. I have an important call. Pip's face filled her screen, ears perked forward. You're on Earth, what's it like? Heavy, I forgot how heavy Earth gravity is. I've been here 6 hours and I'm already tired. Is the wedding nice? It's in 4 days, right now it's chaos. Lisa is stressed about flowers and seating arrangements and weather predictions. Smiled. Very human problems. I miss you. I miss you too, but look where I am. Turned her comm unit to show the ocean behind her. This is the beach where the wedding will be. See the water. Pip stared at the endless blue. It's really real. I thought maybe you'd exaggerated. Nope, Earth has a lot of water. Want to see something cool? Walked down to the shore and stuck her foot in. It's cold and salty and full of life. Billions of organisms in just a handful of water. I wish I could visit Earth someday. Maybe you will when you're older. I'll show you everything. Sat on the sand. How was your day? Okay, we mapped 3 new quantum anomalies. Quince let me help with the analysis. And Mother made something called spaghetti for dinner. It was very messy. They talked until the sun set over the ocean, until Pip's yawns became too big to hide. Get some sleep, little one. I'll call again tomorrow. Promise. Promise. Over the next 4 days, fell back into Earth rhythms, helped with wedding preparations, visited old friends, walked beaches she'd explored as a child. Earth was familiar and comfortable. But she didn't belong here anymore. Not really. Her thoughts kept drifting to space, to research she was missing, to a small cub who needed her. The wedding was beautiful. Lisa cried, their parents cried, everyone cried and laughed and celebrated love. During the reception, snuck away to call Pip. Sorry it's late, the dancing went longer than expected. It's okay, I wanted to see you in your fancy clothes. Pip studied dress through the screen. You look very pretty. Thank you, you should see my sister, she's gorgeous. Pan the camera to show the celebration. This is a human wedding, lots of food and music and people being happy. It looks nice, but loud. Very loud, my ears are going to ring for days. Found a quiet corner. How are things there? Good, the gravity system has been perfect since that one generator failed. Mother replaced all the old generators as a precaution. No more problems. See, I told you it would be fine. I'm learning to trust the work, like you said. Pip's tail swished. When are you coming home? His heart warmed at the word home. Not coming back, coming home. 3 more days. I leave Earth on Tuesday, arrive at the station on Friday, catch the transport on Saturday. I should be back on the ship by next Monday. That's 8 days. I know, but then we can go back to normal, research and work and hiding from ambassadors together. I'll try not to rebuild any major systems while you're gone. I appreciate that. They talked until Sister came looking for her. The bouquet toss is about to happen. You're required to participate in this embarrassing tradition. Said goodbye to Pip and returned to the party. She didn't catch the bouquet. Some cousin she barely remembered dove for it like it was made of gold. The rest of his visit passed quickly. Meals with family. Long talks with her parents about her work. A tour of her childhood home, seeing her old room preserved like a museum. Her father asked about the gravity system, showed him Pip's schematics. He studied them with an engineer's eye and whistled low. This is brilliant work, truly brilliant. The cub who designed this has a future. Pip has a present too, a childhood. Everyone keeps forgetting that part. You've gotten protective of this young one. Pip changed my life, Dad. Saw me struggling and fixed the problem instead of telling me to try harder. That deserves protection. Her father smiled. Sounds like you found family up there. Thought about that? Yeah, I guess I did. The day she left Earth, her family came to see her off. Her mother packed food for the journey. Her father gave her technical journals to share with Pip. Lisa hugged her tight. Come back and visit more often, Lisa said. Don't be a stranger. I won't, but space is my home now. The ship is where I belong. We understand. Just remember you're always welcome here too. The journey back felt longer than the journey out. Counted hours until she could get back to the ship. Back to her work, back to Pip. When her shuttle finally docked with the Zenith Star, she practically ran to the airlock. The gravity shifted as she entered, adjusting to her comfortable setting. It felt like coming home. Pip was waiting in the docking bay. The cub spotted and ran, launching into her arms. You came back, you really came back. Held Pip tight, laughing and crying at the same time. I told you I would. I always keep my promises. Mother stood nearby, smiling. Welcome home. It's good to be home. Commander approached. We are pleased to have you back, human. The ship was quieter without you. Quieter probably means you all got more work done. Productivity increased, yes, but morale decreased. We missed your presence. Over the next few days, settled back into ship life. Her research was waiting. Her quarters were exactly as she'd left them. Everything was familiar and right. But something had changed. Noticed it in how people looked at her. Not as the clumsy human anymore, not even as the scientist, just as a valued member of the crew. Pip noticed it too. You walk different now, the cub said one day, more confident. Going home reminded me of something. I'm not the same person I was when I left Earth. I've grown, changed, become someone new. Do you like who you've become? Thought about it? Yes, I do. I'm someone who knows her worth, who doesn't apologize for being different, who has a brilliant, kind, slightly overwhelming cub as a best friend. I'm not overwhelming. You rebuilt a starship's gravity system. You're definitely overwhelming, but in a good way. They were in the observation deck, watching the nebula swirl with colors. The Zenith Star's mission was nearly complete. Soon they'd return to Alliance space for resupply and new assignments. What will happen when the mission ends? Pip asked. Will you leave the ship? I don't know, I might get reassigned. You might go to school. Things change. Put an arm around Pip. But we'll stay friends no matter where we are or what we're doing. That's not changing. Promise. Promise you're stuck with me, kid, whether you like it or not. I like it. They sat in comfortable silence, watching space drift by. The ship hummed around them, its gravity fields adjusting constantly, making everyone comfortable, making everyone welcome. Thought about the journey she'd been on, from clumsy new arrival to confident scientist, from someone who blamed herself for everything to someone who understood that environments should serve people, not the other way around. All because a child refused to accept that suffering was normal. Pip said, thank you. For what? For seeing me, really seeing me, for caring enough to help, for teaching me that I'm not broken. Pip leaned against her. You taught me things too, that rules aren't sacred, that kindness matters more than protocol, that being different is okay. We taught each other. Yeah, we did. Weeks turned into months. The Zenith Star completed its mission and returned to Alliance space. Received new assignment offers, prestigious positions on important ships. She turned them all down. I want to stay here, she told Commander, if you'll have me. The Zenith Star would be honored to keep you. Your expertise is valuable, and Pip would be devastated if you left. Pip isn't the only reason I'm staying, but yes, that cub is definitely part of the decision. The ship took on a new mission. More exploration, more research, more discovery, threw herself into the work with joy. This was where she belonged, where her skills mattered, where she was valued. Pip grew too, not physically, not yet, but mentally, emotionally. The cub still helped with research but started taking formal engineering courses through the ship's education system, learning theory to match natural talent. They still talked every day at 1800 hours, sometimes about work, sometimes about nothing important, just two friends sharing their lives. One evening Pip asked, do you ever think about before, when you were clumsy? Sometimes, but mostly I think about after, about everything that came from you refusing to accept that I had to suffer. I didn't do much, just changed some gravity settings. You did everything. You saw a problem everyone else accepted. You found a solution everyone else missed. You had the courage to act even when you knew it might cost you, touched Pip's fuzzy head. You changed the galaxy, Pip. Thousands of ships run better because of you. Millions of crew members are more comfortable, all because you cared about one clumsy human. You were never clumsy. The ship was just wrong for you. Exactly, and now no one has to be wrong for their ship anymore. That's your legacy. Pip's ears perked up. I have a legacy. A big one, and you're just getting started. Imagine what you'll do when you're actually grown up. I don't want to be grown up. Being a cub is nice. I get to learn things and make mistakes and have you look after me. I'll look after you even when you're grown. That's what family does. Pip blinked up at, "We're family." Of course we are, not by blood or species, but by choice, by love, by showing up for each other when it matters. Pulled Pip into a hug. "You're my family, little one, for as long as you'll have me." "Forever then." "Forever sounds good." They sat together in the quiet of the observation deck. Outside, stars drifted past. Inside, gravity adjusted perfectly to their needs, making them comfortable, making them welcome. A human who'd once called herself Clumsy now moved with grace. A cub who'd broken rules to help a friend now understood that sometimes rules needed breaking. Together, they'd changed how the galaxy thought about accommodation, about adaptation, about who should change to fit whom. It started with a simple act of kindness, a child seeing suffering and deciding to fix it. And it became something beautiful. Looked at Pip and smiled. "You know what the best part of all this is?" "What?" "I came to space thinking I'd be representing humanity, showing the galaxy what humans could offer. But instead, a cub showed me what compassion looks like, what real friendship means, what it means to see someone's worth when they can't see it themselves. I learned those things from you too. Then we're even, the perfect team." "The perfect family," Pip corrected. "The perfect family," agreed. Outside, the zenith star sailed on through the cosmos. Inside, in a quiet corner of the observation deck, a human and a cub sat together. Two beings from different worlds, different species, different everything. But family nonetheless. Because Pip had seen what needed changing and changed it. Because had learned she was never broken, just different. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change everything. And because grace, true grace, isn't about moving perfectly through a space. It's about creating a space where everyone can move perfectly. That was Pip's gift to the crew, to the galaxy. The gift of belonging exactly as you are. All because one small cub believed that friends were worth breaking rules for. A cub had done that. A small, young cub who simply believed that suffering was something to fix, not something to accept. And the galaxy would never be quite the same. More comfortable. Their movements were easier, smoother. And Harper walked through the corridors with her head held high, not stumbling once. Didn't know that everything was about to change.